Hi, this is Deboki of Kingdom File and Fandom, and today I'm going to be doing the new To Booktube tag. So I found this tag originally from Girl Reading's channel, but it was posted originally on Between Chapters, so I thought it would just be fun to do because I am new to BookTube. The first question is, where are you joining us from? I am joining all of you from Boston, Massachusetts. I've lived here for about 5 years, moved around a little bit, but I am here now for grad school. Question 2, how old are you? I am 26 years old. Question 3, why did you join BookTube? So I started writing a blog. I've kind of started writing a blog like 20 times in the past maybe 5 years, I feel like. But this year I really sat down and I was like, I like writing. I like writing about things that I've been watching and reading, so I need to actually sit down and do this regularly. So I started doing that in the beginning of the year and kind of committing to it more seriously over the course of the year. And I recently kind of discovered BookTube, and I was like, well, this is actually perfect, because one of the things I realized as I was writing is that I like kind of processing a lot of my ideas through writing, but a lot of the communication, like actually expressing it to others, like especially when it comes to reviewing books, like don't enjoy writing it as much. I prefer talking it out loud. I don't know if there's a specific reason for that. Maybe it's because it's a little more casual, but that's kind of my preferred communication method, is talking people to tears. I think you might be able to hear loud people from my parking lot, so sorry about that. What is the meaning behind my channel name? There's really no deeper meaning. It just sounded cool in my head. When I was coming up with my blog, I liked the idea of something that would incorporate science and fandom, because those are the main things going on in my life. And yeah, Kingdom, File, and Fandom just sounded cool in my head. When I started my channel, I was like, okay. And that is my cat. Hi, cat. This is His front legs were shaved because he actually recently had a dental extraction. So he was mad at me for like a week. But now he's forgiven me and he wants my attention. Because he's a little asshole. He's a little asshole, right, Kitty? Yeah. Okay. Okay. He's the best cat. Question 5, what type of books do you read / what type of books do you want to talk about on here? So I'm actually kind of just coming out of a huge book rut, which I think is why I started getting interested in BookTube. I was reading a lot of YA for a while, which I was kind of finding unsatisfying. It was really more personal, kind of me realizing that YA is not for me. Just not a criticism on YA. I think there's a lot of really good YA books out there. So a lot of the books I was hearing about online were YA, so those were the books I kept reading, and I kept getting frustrated because the things that were repeatedly coming up just, kept coming up. So I recently started listening to some of the Book Riot podcasts. In particular, Get Booked has been one that's been hugely helpful for me to kind of get out of this rut. It's a recommendation podcast where people write in asking for different recommendations, basically. Things like, I teach students of this age, I'm looking for books that address these issues, or I recently finished reading this book and I'm like super emotionally destroyed from it, what can I read to help? Or I recently read this book and I want more books like it. So it's a really great podcast. I highly recommend it, especially if you are stuck in a rut. And through that podcast, I've just been really discovering a lot of different types of books that I haven't read before, or a lot of authors that I haven't really read in a while. So I think right now I don't have a specific genre to pinpoint on. It's just kind of anything that sounds interesting, and that's probably what I'll be talking about as well. Who are some of my favorite authors? J.K. Rowling is almost too easy, right? I grew up on Harry Potter. So that's kind of the obvious one. There's, I feel like more than favorite authors, I have favorite books. Like the Kushiel's Dart trilogy is one of my favorite series by Jacqueline Carey, but I haven't necessarily gotten super into her other books, but that book is just so good that those other books don't matter that much to me. I think Emperor of All Maladies, the biography of cancer by Siddhartha Mukherjee, is one of my favorite nonfiction books, and I guess one of my favorite pieces of science writing. So I know I said that I don't read YA as much, but one of my favorite horror authors is Brenna Yovanov, who writes a lot of really great YA horror stories. I just love them so much. Some of my favorite comic book writers are Gail Simone and G. Willow Wilson and Kelly Sue DeConnick. Question number 7, what's the last book you read? The last book I read is Hyperbole and a Half by Ali Brosh. It's based on the Hyperbole and a Half blog, which was super awesome. She talks about a lot of different things going on, including simple dogs and mental health, and yeah, it's just hysterical, and I'm so glad I finally read it. I feel like I've been hearing about it all the time. I've read the blog before, I just never got around to reading the book until a few days ago. What am I currently reading? I'm reading The Making of Asian America by Erica Lee. This is actually one of the recommendations I found through Get Booked. I think they recommended on one of their recent podcasts. I am very early on in this book, but I am really loving it. It covers the history of Asians in the Americas from before the US even existed. And I have a lot of feelings about it, even though I'm only I'm not even 100 pages in. I feel like so far I'm really enjoying this book. I'm excited to continue learning from it, and I will probably have a review posted about it when I'm done. Question number 9, what do I use for bookmarks? So going back to this, most of my books basically come from the library. I place holds on them, and when I place holds on them, I get these little slips in the books, and these are my little hold slips. So when I pick them up, those are my bookmarks. Question number 10, show us your TBR pile. So you can actually see my TBR pile. It's not very exciting. I don't know if you can spot it. This is my TBR pile. Again, all from the library. You can see my future bookmarks. These are all very much out of my wheelhouse. I'm not very good at reading poetry, but I have 3 poetry books here. One is Life on Mars by Tracy K. Smith. I should read this soon. It's pretty small. Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson, and Ariel by Sylvia Plath. And then the last book is a short story series. It's a series of short stories by Karen Russell called Vampires in the Lemon Grove. Short stories are also not something that I read a whole bunch, but I thought it would be good to give it a try. Question 11 is a series of what do you prefer? So the first one is hardback or paperback. I guess because I usually read while I'm commuting, there's kind of a trade-off. I like hardback because I probably won't break the books as much, but paperback is nice because they're not as heavy. I don't know that I really have a preference. Yeah. Ebooks or physical books. I used to be a huge ebook person, especially when traveling, because before that, when my family and I used to go to India, when I was younger, I would take just a suitcase. I used to take just a suitcase full of books. I would pack at least 3 of my Harry Potter hardcover books in there. I think my parents were a little bit upset that I would just kind of use up all that suitcase space on my books. So when ebooks became a thing, at first I was like, I'm not really interested. And then I was like, oh my god, when I go to India, I don't need to pack a whole suitcase full of books. I recently have been getting more into physical books, and I think that's partially because I've just been going to the library a lot more. And Overdrive is a pain in the butt, so borrowing books is a lot easier. So from the library, getting the physical copy is a lot easier. So I've kind of been starting to prefer that. And then part C of what do I prefer, owning or borrowing, I guess I kind of just answered that. I've been going to the library a lot, and I think that's actually been really helpful for me in terms of getting myself to read more. Part of the reason why I don't buy that many books is just because I don't feel like spending a lot of money on books. I value books a lot, but I don't want to buy them unless I know I love them. So I don't like to buy new books. And this is both just for the sake of my budget and also for the sake of my space. I live in Boston and I'm a grad student. I don't have unlimited space or unlimited money. So I know I'm gonna have to move. I don't want to be moving a huge ass pile of books. So that's why I really I don't know if I could ever do a bookshelf tour because it would be the most boring bookshelf tour because it's kind of just a few of my favorite books. But Boston has a really great library, so I've been really taking advantage of that, especially recently, to just borrow the heck out of it. And I think having that borrowing aspect, like I said, I think it's really helped me to explore new books because I don't get as caught up in like the anxiety of like, oh, do I want to buy this book when I'm not sure I'm gonna like it? Like, do I want to spend like 10, 15, sometimes even $20 on this book? Even for ebooks, right? Like, they've gotten pretty expensive, I feel like. So having the library makes it so I'm more likely to read it because I'm not worried about, spending so much money. Question 12, what book or series got you into reading? I mean, I don't know. Like, I started reading way back when. I feel like the book that I have the most vivid memory of like really getting into was Mr. Dolittle. Like, this was in 3rd grade. This is when like I first started reading longer books, I think. And yeah, I don't know how Mr. Dolittle became that book. Looking back, there's probably a lot of issues with Mr. Dolittle. A lot of colonialism, a lot of racism. Question 13, how did you discover BookTube? I think it was a combination of Book Riot and actually getting into beauty YouTubers. So I found out about the concept of BookTube because I was clicking through some Book Riot links and they were like, here's the top whatever booktubers. I was like, I've never heard this word before, but I started kind of getting into watching beauty videos, like reviews and tutorials and stuff recently. Not like super into it, but just kind of because I really like reading about makeup, kind of starting to follow some makeup people on YouTube. And I think just being on YouTube, like a little bit more, I was like, well, maybe I should see what this BookTube is all about. But I'm still really new. I'm still learning. Question 14, what challenges do you think you'll face? I think the 2 things are crushing insecurity and time management. I think getting myself to make these videos is really more an exercise than forcing myself to do something I'm a little bit nervous about. And time management, I mean, I'm in my hopefully last year or 2 of grad school of my PhD, and I'm trying to wrap up my research and like also start applying for jobs. So, I mean, everyone's got a busy schedule, so it's not really a great excuse. But yeah, just kind of setting aside the time to make and edit and also learn how to edit because I'm completely new to this whole editing software thing. So yeah. Last question, where else can we find you? Well, Twitter and WordPress, but those are the main ones and I will link to them below. So thank you for watching this and I look forward to making another video soon.